Hey, this is Jack at BCO Farm. It's a beautiful October morning. It's only in the 60s, just great weather to work outside. And I've been working on the pond project for a while. I've dug out the what I think, I'll call this my first draft of the pond on the downhill side, which, just to give a little context, up here is the upper swale and the grassy area is the spillway, which runs down to the lower swale. And because of the flat terrain in the area, the two swales get pretty far apart in this area. So I decided to experiment with a little pond here just to try to create some additional aquatic life, just see what I can do with the edge effects you get around the pond. So I started digging this by hand. I don't just, on the scale of the projects we do everything by hand. I might be a bit of a glutton for punishment, but I like to be able to do this without heavy machinery. So I shaped the downhill side. I dug a keyway, packed it with clay. I admit the keyway is not as deep as the pond, so it's going to be important that I seal the pond. But for this project, if the pond were to leak some into the ground, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because I have plenty of water from our pool, 20,000 gallons of water back there that I can supplement and keep it topped off. So water soaking in a little bit is pretty consistent with what we're doing with the swales. But I will try to seal it so it's not a constant maintenance issue trying to keep it the level from dropping. So I dug the keyway down about a foot and then built up the dam. The white pipe is designed to control the level. So if I were to close the valve on the white pipe, I could fill a little higher, but the intent is to leave that open, so if the pond fills all the way to the white pipe, it'll overflow down into the swale. And then here on the near side, I'm going to cut a short connecting swale over to the spillway, so as water overflows from the upper swale, it will fill the little connecting swale and share the water with the pond. And if the pond is full, it will then flow back down towards the lower swale. And just to explain the white pipes stuck in the ground, those are at exactly the same level as the white overflow pipe in the middle. So I used a laser level and determined where that level was on each end. So you can see the dam is built up in a kind of an arc with the ends of it around the white pipes. Then on the upper side, I dug out the pond. As I mentioned, I call this the first draft. I just want to see what it looks like when it fills. On the uphill side, I can continue digging even farther uphill if I want to, but I wanted to see what it looked like here. So if I don't think it holds enough water, I'll start digging more out. So the point, what I'm doing here this morning is I'm doing a test fill. I used the white bucket and measured the flow rate. So I just ran a stopwatch, calculated, the white bucket is exactly 5 gallons, so I calculated the flow rate by measuring how long it took to fill the 5-gallon bucket, which turned out to be almost exactly 36 seconds. And with a little math, that tells me the flow rate out of the hose is about 8.33 gallons per minute. So now I've noted the time I started, and I'll measure how long it takes to fill up to the overflow pipe, and that'll give me a crude estimate of the volume of the pond. Of course, there'll be some soakage into the ground, so the volume will probably be a little less than that because we'll be losing a little bit of water as we go. But I don't expect this to take more than a few hours to fill. So we'll get a reasonable estimate. The design of the pond was that I did some research and found that it seems that no government agency requires a permit as long as your pond is no more than 250 square feet of area and 2 feet deep. So this one is right at 2 feet deep. I believe it's less than 250 square feet, which would be, if it were circular, that would be roughly 18 feet in diameter. And this is actually about 18 feet across the way we're looking, but left to right it's less. So I believe I'm under 250 square feet. So that's the idea. I'm gonna take a break here and just let it fill for a few hours, and then I'll get an idea of the volume, and also that'll tell me where the water level is going to hit the slope on the uphill side, because ultimately we want to, once we determine that level, we would like the slope of the ground to be very shallow, which will require some shaping and removing material on the upper side, because we'll get a better edge effect if it's not steep at the water's edge. So that's it. I'll share more about my progress later. For now, this is Jack from BCO Farm.